Well, here we are at Disneyland, and we're heading down the bayou on the Mark Twain. It's a great opportunity for us to talk about how the Haunted Mansion, this venerable attraction that's been around since 1969, has now been bookended by Imagineers, both in terms of the queuing experience and the gift shop experience at the end. So we want to take a look, and the place to start as we go through, if you see Tiana's Palace up ahead, that was recently remodeled, but next to it, between it and the Haunted Mansion, is something that we refer to as Magnolia Gardens or Magnolia Park, as it has been talked about over the years. This park matters because, well, in my opinion, it's been really one of the great little intimate places to really enjoy what is at the heart a theme park. But it has had some challenges over the years, and at the heart of these challenges was the overflow queue for the Haunted Mansion. So let's see how it's changed. One of the things they've done is they've opened up the bandstand at Tiana's Palace. Before, when it was the French Market, the band actually had more of a wall behind it, and they always played out toward the French Market restaurant. Now, with all the changes to Tiana's Bayou, that is now playing both ways. Also, you see the train station is still there, allowing for traffic flow to and from the train as folks are getting on and off. But and you see there are big trees. It's still very much a park setting. But what has really happened here is that they've taken one portion of that gardens area and they've pushed it out to allow for a more structured Haunted Mansion queue. They had done some fast pass structures nearby, but those are gone now and no longer needed. So let's take a walk through as we go into the Haunted Mansion. The queue on the right is for Lightning Lane. You're going to actually, as you enter in to the park experience, veer off to the left, particularly if the queue is fairly long, and you're going to go into a whole different section. In fact, the standby queue is no longer a big set of switchbacks. Instead, it's been sectioned off. This little portion right here is Madame Leota's garden with mystical elements all through it. Notice how you're kind of weaving into different directions. You're not going just simply back and forth in a switchback. In fact, take a look. You see that there's a lot of walls. You see, you're able to kind of peek into other areas, and so it's not all sequestered. But the idea is that you're not having to come upon this big, massive switchback queuing area, but rather it's all compartmentalized. This section that we're walking into seems to be somewhat themed to the old Sea Captain, which was an Imagineering theme. Note the lighthouse on this detailed vault right here. Again, it seems to play into a story that Ken Anderson, as an Imagineer, initially conceived long before the Haunted Mansion was created. We're looking into an additional overflow queue area, which has this large awning. It actually, when I take a look at it, and I recorded video of it later when it was filled by guests, sort of reminds me of the greenhouse in the queue of Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey at Universal's Islands of Adventure. It provides a covering, and again, another portion. You see the train station right nearby. You see how it has kind of come right up against Magnolia Park. The queue is now taking us back up toward the front of the park. You'll see how the portion on the left was elevated. What's happening is you're actually going back into what is the standard queue. All that we have been through has been an extended queue. You would see none of this if the queue was only 13 minutes long. You see the white hearse that's been moved from the right side of the mansion toward the front, and then you see this fountain, which was the fountain that, again, was part of Magnolia Park. It's been removed. It's no longer a functioning fountain. It's more of a garden kind of terrace right now. As we swing back, you'll see the very familiar pet cemetery, which seems to have been given a little bit more space. Now, if we were to go back in time, in this case, what you're seeing is footage during the COVID or post-COVID period. you'll see that the queue during this portion, the standard queue, was really a series of narrow switchbacks. You really couldn't stand more than one person. You couldn't stand shoulder to shoulder with another person. You stood in that queue and went through a switchback area that just went back and forth. It was all out in the sun, and it was just something you kind of went through as you waited to finally get into the Haunted Mansion. Entering that same area again, you see the new queue on the left that is at a lower elevation, and you are actually turning into that area that was behind you. You see a pergola right in front of you. You see some vines that are starting to grow in. They're going to fill in very nicely and create a lot of shade, which will be very helpful. You see the columns, you see the lighting fixtures. All of that is working really well. On one side, there is a crypt that is appearing. That actually is allowing guests with mobility needs to actually go into an elevator, but it's hidden as a crypt. And in fact, what you'll see in the facade of it is a very similar set of epitaphs that you find at the exit to the Haunted Mansion in Magic Kingdom. I am mortal, and other kinds of initials that kind of spell out eerie-like terms. Then you see the switchback occurring, but you notice that the switchback is much wider than it was before. And by the way, did you notice that the music is all brand new? It's themed to Grim Grinning Ghosts, but it is, which usually is playing a Nightmare Before Christmas type chime, but it's all playing a new Haunted Mansion theme as we go into the Haunted Mansion, which is where we're headed next. We're going right on into the entrance of the Haunted Mansion and enjoying that attraction. So currently, the Haunted Mansion has a Nightmare Before Christmas overlay. It is amazing. I'm not a big Nightmare Before Christmas fan, but this attraction really transforms. It's usually held between Halloween season and Christmas, and it's just fantastic to see. I won't show that here, but know that go to my Disney Insights YouTube page and you can check it out. Make sure you subscribe while you're there. What we're going to do is move through the attraction to the exit, where we get off of our Doom Buggy and we head up a moving ramp that takes us upstairs, kind of like the moving ramp at Pirates of the Caribbean and the Magic Kingdom. It's going to take us back up to the main level, and we exit the Haunted Mansion through a nearby crypt. And as we exit, we come to what is our other bookend, which is Madame Leota Somewhere Beyond. It is a new gift shop that is being put in. The exterior is finished and signage is up. We haven't seen the interior yet. The artist rendering showed, well, was a carriage house appropriate for a owner of a large mansion such as this. Very appropriate. The problem is in the execution. Somehow the size and the scale of this has somewhat dwarfed the mansion, which was following similar scale concepts used by Imagineers over the years. This is not following that same sense of scale. It's problematic and simply not easily remediated. Now, I'm sure that the interior is going to look very impressive and going to have that great Haunted Mansion feel. What you see illustrated seems very similar to what you find at Le Baton Rouge, which is a gift shop in New Orleans Square, very proximate to Pirates of the Caribbean. It has that same look and feel. I'm sure it'll be nice. The challenge is that there are these large barn doors that are supposed to open for this carriage house. I think you're going to have a lot of bleeding light that's going to impact that look and feel of the interior of the gift shop. Long and short, the challenge here is this really sticks out in front of both the Haunted Mansion and Tiana's next door, which, by the way, as you head toward Tiana's, you can't even see the mountain. You have to get to the other side of it. Oh, and by the way, has anybody noticed that this thing has been painted in Disney's infamous Go Away green? Well, the irony here is that it's not going away. This building is here to stay. And it's even worse at night, because with all the beautiful lights of Tiana's, carefully done, you then turn to this store and you see all these bright lanterns. It's just a contrast. Speaking of contrast, what you do notice is that compared to the Haunted Mansion in Magic Kingdom, they haven't done the interactive elements that you saw in the queue there probably best because they do tend to slow the guest flow down into the Haunted Mansion, and sometimes that flow goes pretty quick. So perhaps it's best. Conversely, Magic Kingdom did go from a little kiosk to Memento Mori gift shop and did it successfully. In short, I think the new queue at the Haunted Mansion is a hit. I think the exterior portion of this gift shop is a miss. As for the interior, we'll wait to see.